So today's webinar is on 3D Interconnect. And so before we get right into things though, just a quick introduction. My name is Scott Lidgy. I'm the Technical Solution Team Manager here at Javelin Technologies. My email there is on the screen. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on this or other things regarding SOLIDWORKS products. So at Javelin, we're concerned with far more than just selling SOLIDWORKS software. We're concerned with every stage of the product lifecycle, starting with people and making sure that everyone is using the software to the best of their abilities and getting the most out of your investment, and then making sure that you are investing in the right types of products, specifically SOLIDWORKS, but we deal with a lot of other products, and we're always looking for that next new innovation or new product that's going to help you with your design and engineering. Process is also important to us, making sure that data goes from concept right through to delivering your product to your clients in a nice, clean, and easy way, reducing errors and reducing time and effort. And then finally, manufacturing is where you make your money. It's actually creating that product. So again, making sure that the data is clean, described properly at the manufacturing stage, making sure quality is looked after, and again, as few errors as possible and the quickest amount of time. So this is, we're coming to the end of our solution webinar series. We have one more coming up on the 17th. Today we're dealing with 3D Interconnect, so our last one's going to be the MBD product. Throughout these webinars, we've been asking you to fill out our survey, so please, if you have a chance at any point in time during or after, go to this website and fill that survey in for us. It helps us to get to know you guys better. This solution webinar series, we're actually giving away up to 5 Space Mice, so just being in attendance here today, you have a chance to win one of these, and we'll contact you if your name is drawn. We also have some grand prizes, and this is more particular to the survey. So when you fill that survey in, we've taken all the surveys from our launch events and through these through the webcast series, and you have a chance of winning one of these 3 great prizes: the Apple gift card, the NVIDIA Quadro graphics card, or even a MakerBot Mini. So again, the deadline for these surveys to be filled in is November 10th, and we'll be drawing those winners after that date. So today we're going to talk about 3D Interconnect. It's a brand new technology for SOLIDWORKS, and it's available in your SOLIDWORKS 2017 release. We're also going to talk about the 3 different case uses of taking advantage of this new technology: referencing CAD data in your assembly, deriving a part and adding your own features to another CAD format, and then converting it, just turning that back into a pure SOLIDWORKS file and doing whatever you want to that product. So let's start with just the technology. Let's talk about what it is all about. So it's a way to seamlessly use other 3D content from other CAD systems, and you're going to work with it as if it was never created outside of SOLIDWORKS. That's how integrated it is, if you will. An important thing to note about this software, right now it is still in although 2017 has been released at SP0, this technology is still in a beta stage, and it's expected to be released in the SP2 release of SOLIDWORKS, so probably around the February timeframe. But it is available to you to enable and try out, and your feedback is always great to hear how you're making out with this new technology. So who's going to be able to take advantage of this technology? First one is people that use supplier content. So when you download those items, those parts or assemblies to use inside your designs, maybe a motor, for example, like you see on screen. You can't always be specific and ask for a SOLIDWORKS file or get a SOLIDWORKS file, or sometimes they are available in other formats. So being able to leverage that data, it just makes your job easier and quicker to get to the designs complete. Design vendors, so you're getting a customer file that you need to design around. So in this case, maybe you're a mold designer and you have to insert that CATIA file or something inside the design. And if you are going through a translation format, it's one of the downsides is that how do you keep up with design changes and be able to update your designs quickly and easily? The third one is people moving to SOLIDWORKS. SOLIDWORKS is the standard out there, but there are still a lot of people using these other packages out there. So you need to know that there's an easy way to transition to SOLIDWORKS from these other CAD systems. and then you're not giving up all that legacy data that you've built up over the years. So what 3D Interconnect is allowing us to do now is to work very seamlessly with PTC, so the ProE and Creo formats, the Inventor, Solid Edge, and the Unigraphics, and that's right down to the base package of SOLIDWORKS will have that capability. CATIA that you see in the bottom right, again, we'll be able to work with that, but you'll notice the little asterisks here. You need to have SOLIDWORKS Premium to have that capability. Not to say every seat in your office needs to be premium. What's nice is that once it's been imported using that premium seat, the others could still use that data while it's inside SOLIDWORKS. You just won't be able to do some of the updating that we'll talk about later in the presentation. So what's supported with when we bring in these other formats inside SOLIDWORKS? So when we're talking about solids and surfaces and reference geometry like planes, it's supported. So you're going to be able to bring in that data nicely into SOLIDWORKS. Mates, not yet. So when we bring in these other formats, it's going to be in a fixed state in an assembly. But they're working on it. So this is phase one. Let's get the geometry in. Let's get the reference geometry in, and they're going to move forward with this technology. The other one is metadata. If there's metadata, so descriptions, part numbers on any of these other formats, again, it's not supported yet. And lastly, 3D dimensions. So if you are doing all your PMI, your product manufacturing information on the models, on the parts and assemblies, that too is not going to be coming in yet. So right now it's strictly just we want to get the geometry in so that we can work with the models as is inside SOLIDWORKS. So let's start digging into the different use cases. So the first one being referring to CAD data. We simply want to insert another native CAD format into SOLIDWORKS just as if it was another SOLIDWORKS part or assembly. So we're going to look at this example where in Inventor we have a battery pack that's been designed and we want to insert it into our SOLIDWORKS assembly. We want to be able to manipulate it, like change the shader, change the color, make it transparent, what have you, made it into position with the rest of our model. But then we also want to know that as updates might change to that model in that other native format, that we'll be able to update easily inside of our SOLIDWORKS assembly. So let's take a quick look at this one. So inside SOLIDWORKS, I'll show you how to enable this initially. If you've worked with other translation formats, you might remember that to get to the options, we would always go to File, Open, pick the format we want, and they'd be given an Options button to actually tweak the way you're going to import data. You can still go that route, but what's nice in 2017 is that it's actually also available in our system options. So down here at the bottom I've got Import, and then if I go to the drop-down, you'll see Inventor, CATIA, Creo, NX, and Solid Edge. When I go to that option, there's a checkbox at the bottom that says Enable 3D Interconnect, and you'll notice again it's in beta version at the moment. So you'll be able to enable that functionality, and then when we do opens or inserts, you're going to see slightly different than what you might be familiar with in previous releases of SOLIDWORKS. So once it's been enabled, let's set ourselves up here. I'm going to take a different display state and a different angle on this model, and we're going to bring in that battery data set. So I'm going to do an insert just as if I was inserting another SOLIDWORKS part or assembly. But you'll notice now, because 3D Interconnect is enabled, I have access to insert all these other formats. So we're going to go and choose the Inventor assembly, and I just have a folder set up as supplier content. So I'm going to bring in this Inventor assembly, simply hit open, and you can see we can just insert it like it was a SOLIDWORKS part or assembly. And you're going to see some new icons that we'll kind of talk our way through, but these are the icons that let you know that you're dealing with other CAD formats. And you'll see that the naming convention is naming them as the actual parts and assemblies with the IPT or IAM formats for Inventor. But I can do whatever I want with the geometry. I can change the transparency here and see inside. We can rotate these around. We can mate them in place. We can hide and show and move components around. So that's our next step. Let's actually get this into position. So we're going to just select the back face in here, and we're going to mate it inside of our project area. We're going to center it up with another quick mate, and we're going to pull it down into position here by mating these faces up there. We're also going to do one other mate. This is like a front plate holder that holds that battery pack in, so that we're going to snug that up a bit by selecting the back face and the front face of our battery pack, and one more coincident mate. And as you can see, that's got a lot of in-context references to make sure that the fasteners and everything are in position. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is, now, like I said, inevitably some design changes may occur. Right? So we've used it in this assembly, but then the inventor user makes some design changes. So from my data set, we would just simply be overwriting or updating the inventor files in my project folder. So I'm just going to overwrite the files today with newer versions. And what's going to happen inside SOLIDWORKS is that the user would then see this little rebuild symbol. It's very small, but if you'll be notified that, hey, something's changed in the native format. And if we want to update to that, we can just simply right-click and do Update Model. And so all the new parts and assemblies will be shown, but all the references we made, all the mating faces that we've created have all been maintained, so all the in-context positioning has been updated as well. And that's where the real power of 3D Interconnect is going to come through. So that's just way, again, how we're going to be able to simply insert these other formats and work with them as is in position. Next one is where we want to take a part and we want to make it as a derived part. We want to open up another native format but add to it. But again, know that I can always update with any new changes to the original CAD data. So this time I'm going to do a simple file open. And for this one we're going to use a Pro-E file. So if we open that up, it does create like a derived component, so you're going to see it treed in here. So we've got the derived item below, and now I'm free to do whatever I want to. I can add features to it, for example. So let's just hide away the planes. We don't need those. So we're going to go in my design library to save a little bit of time and just drag in some predefined features. So if I drag and drop in this little keyway, we'll just position it with an edge on the geometry. We're going to do a similar function here with the curved slot. Position it up, and there's my design I want for my project. Now, and we could do all sorts of other things. We could take this model, we could run simulation analysis, put on some forces, put on some fixtures and run it, get some feedback on whether it's going to work on our design, and knowing that, again, we're going to be able to update. All right, so let's get this into position in our project. Just drag and drop it in. Oh, we got to save it up first. We didn't save it to the hard drive. Because like I said, it was a derived component, so we'll just save that as a new SOLIDWORKS file with the native being derived in there. Okay, so now we're going to insert the model. Get it in position. But then as you can see, this doesn't quite work for our needs because the pin here, the follower, is not going to fit in this design. So if it's a supplier or a machine shop, now we go back to the originator and ask for design changes. Now Pro-E, the way they manage revisions is a little bit different. The way they do it is they have the .prt extension and then a .1, .2 as the revisions get incremented. So we're going to take this .2, and if again we put it into our project folder, back inside SOLIDWORKS, it's going to see the update option. So again, we can just right-click and choose to enable the update, bring in the latest geometry. But again, none of the features that we've added, the relationships and so on, have been lost. They're still all intact. And we're seeing that come across here to our assembly file. And that's going to fit for us now. Okay. And then again, if we had done a simulation like I mentioned, we just go back over to the simulation. We don't have to set anything else up. We just need to rerun the analysis and to make sure we have the latest geometry and the latest simulation results. All right. Oh, so there we saw the opening of Pro E, we added the features, and then we updated to any design changes again, just like we did before. Last case study is where we want to take some geometry, but then we don't want to maintain that link to the original geometry. We truly want it to be converted and make it a truly SOLIDWORKS native file. And that will be the process of breaking the link. All right, so what we want to do in this case, we're going to deal with a solid edge data set. We're going to insert the CAD data. We're going to decide to break the link, maybe to just some of the parts, maybe not all the parts, modify them as we need, and then have the option to the ones that we did maintain links, again, update. All right, so let's go take a look at that. So if we come back into our project, we're going to do the same process as before. I'm going to say insert component, browsing out. We're going to grab the solid edge format. Okay, and then again we can place it in there, mate it up as we normally would. And you can see how nice it is. I mean, it comes in quickly, all the colors, all the geometry is intact. So we'll just do a coincident mate here, and a concentric on this. And we'll do one more there. Okay, but in this design, you can see how this hole in our design does not match up with the mounting plate. And so maybe we purchase this component, but we replace this plate with something of our own. So we want to, in this case, break the link and make this one component our own. So if I look at the tree structure here, you know, we have the option just right-click. Maybe I want to break the link to the main assembly. So it's as simple as that. And it is going to warn you that this is you can't undo this step. Once it's broken, it's broken. If you needed the link to be recreated, you have to reinsert the geometry again. So yes, we're going to break that link. But notice that these still have the same icons. And that's because the parts are still referencing those inventor sorry, not inventor, actually we're doing this to the wrong assembly. Let's try this one. Let's break the link to the assembly. But then down here, the parts are still referencing the solid edge components. Now the plate, I want to make it my own, so I'm going to break the link to that as well. So that now, if I was to open this file up, and you might see the difference here as well. So this is the linked part. You'll see that it's referencing the original file still. It's got these newer icons, as opposed to the one I just broke has a standard part icon with what most of you are probably familiar with is the imported solid icon. So now if I open this up, we can run feature recognition. Maybe we don't want the whole part going through a feature recognition. Let's just do the one body for now. The one feature, we'll just say edit feature on that. SOLIDWORKS will use FeatureWorks that everybody has access to give that some information, some data, so that now it's a standalone part. I'm starting to add features to it. I could reverse engineer the whole part with FeatureWorks if I wanted to, so that now if I come back up to the assembly level, you know, then we could do some in-context references now. So if we go down to this part, we'll do edit part. We'll take that whole feature, which is recognized as a whole wizard hole, so I'll just change the positioning, which is this point, and I'm going to relate it to our hole in the design, making it concentric. Close that back up, and so now the hole is perfectly lined up. And if we go back up to the main assembly, that's what our intent was that we have our own custom plate that's going to be applied to an imported geometry from a supplier in a solid edge format. All right, so that's just the three sort of major use cases that you're going to be able to take advantage of 3D Interconnect. So it's the assembly reference, just simply inserting and using as is. Derived parts, where you're going to add features to it but maintain the original geometry from the native format. And lastly, the breaking the link, where we can insert solid edge components, or in any of these formats, not just solid edge, but solid edge in this case. And then when we can break those links and make it a truly imported body at that point and do whatever we want with it, because now it is a truly SOLIDWORKS based part. So that's about all I was going to show you today on that product. Remembering that it is available to you, but it's going to be in full release, full support in Service Pack 2. So again, a wrap up of the solution webinar series. One more to go, which is MBD on November 17th. So make sure to come out to that one. Again, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you got something out of it, and I'm really excited about this functionality. I hope you saw something and have the option to try it out soon too. Have a good day.